Hello once again, individuals, and welcome to another episode of the Kerbal Space Program. My name is Flobbert. Just a couple of announcements before I begin. My name, as I said, is Flobbert. If you want, you can address me by my channel name, Bagel Rabbit. You can call me by my forum name, Upsilon Aerospace. If you call me Flobbert, here's how to spell it. Flobbert. My real name is... Some people have spelled my name a bit weirdly, so just a heads up there. Oh! One of the people who spelled it weirdly was actually part of some gaming network, and he wanted me to join. I'm flattered, but I think that joining would restrict my options of what to do with this channel, so I think I'll pass. Thanks for the offer, though. One person that I am going to partner up with is this guy named Legit Coconut, who's going to do a series with me about a Kerbal World War, in which we battle to control the planet. One series that I'm discontinuing is the reusable space program, which stopped being reusable when I underestimated the amount of fuel that it took to get off the moon and crashed Jeb and our hitchhiker Kerbal Bobdus into the moon. Since the series was sort of a permadeath series, it goes against my moral conscience to continue. Sorry. One final thing, thank you so much everyone for the support that the song Duna has been given. I will be creating more music in the near future because a notable modder, Blizzy78, has agreed to make a plugin for the game featuring music by me along with other people. Stay tuned for that, it's going to be awesome. And now, back to our regularly scheduled content. Alright, so today I'm going to show off a new SSTO, a single stage to orbit that I have created. It is very small. The Rapier engine, which I am using for this, got quite a bit of a boost in 0.24, and so as a result, you can create craft that are of this tiny size that are still capable of reaching orbit. Although, one unfortunate thing about this craft is that I am using rover wheels, which come with benefits and with downsides. The benefits are that you can drive around after landing. The downsides are that unfortunately you have to take off pretty much straight up, otherwise you will exceed the structural limits of the rover wheels before taking off, which is the reason for this peculiar position. Let's go ahead and turn on the SAS, throttle up all the way. We have a go for launch. 3, 2, 1, and we are off, and you can see that within a couple of seconds we rise into the air, as simple as that. Now, it is subsequently time to turn down to a 30 or 40 degree angle. Turn down for what, you might ask? Well, the reason why I am turning down is that it is quite important to not just go straight up so that you can gain maximal orbital velocity and also have this thing in air breathing mode for as long as possible. Also, I think that the thing that I did right there was kind of clever. So yes, you can see now that our pitch authority is a little bit wonky, but that we are nonetheless successfully accelerating faster and faster. One of the things that I would recommend at this point is to just not touch the controls, because touching the controls actually makes this craft get a little bit less stable than you can see right now. As you can see, it's pretty rock solid at the current point, but if you decide to touch the controls, it gets a little bit wonky. And yes, it has switched over to our closed cycle mode, and you can also see that I have forgotten to turn down the oxidizer more than the liquid fuel, and so as a result I'm doing things a little bit poorly here. But we can throttle down and see where our apoapsis is, and indeed it is way out of the atmosphere. It is a good ways out of the atmosphere, and we are traveling at close to orbital velocity. So we are approaching our apoapsis. Let's go ahead and put down that nav ball, the wonderful nav ball, and then we can just throttle up a little bit and wait until we get a periapsis. That is as simple as it is, and it takes a very small amount of time for orbit to be achieved. I know that with some of your VTOLs that you see, or some of your SSTOs rather, I always get those things confused, it takes rather a long time to build up velocity and such, but in here you can get a nice stable orbit within the first 9 minutes, even less sometimes if you are careful. And despite the suboptimal ascent profile that we took, and despite the amount of oxidizer that I forgot to take out, we still have enough fuel to successfully deorbit and then some. So now it's time to test this thing's RCS capabilities, because this thing comes with not only RCS but also a docking port. You can see that in addition to successfully thrusting forwards and backwards with minimal loss of control, we can also thrust in all directions with a very, very small amount of risk. Now, there is a little bit of a problem, and that is just that you can see that this docking port, which, yes, this thing does come with the docking port, is not only a little bit small, but is also kind of obstructed by the tail. So if you are sending this thing in to dock, you do need to have the Clampetron Mini on a bit of a boom. However, I think that the fact that this thing has docking capabilities at all because of its small size is pretty impressive. Let's go ahead and swing around the planet, whereupon we can subsequently get ready for landing. And I do want to try to land at the Kerbal Space Center if humanly possible. I know that I am terrible at judging these sorts of things from orbit, but I guess that this may be the best place to begin our burn. I do want to just go ahead, throttle up, and you can see that our liquid fuel depletes slowly enough that we do have a nice suborbital trajectory. I can use a little bit of monopropellant as well, just to continue to slow us down. I do not want to deplete all of our monopropellant. I think that that might be a good place to set our marker for the time being. I may be under or overestimating this a little bit, or I may have it spot on, but I kind of doubt it. You can see that this thing controls very stably and very safely, even at 4 times time acceleration. And as we continue towards the runway, you can see our speed dropping below 50 meters per second, which will be nice when we go ahead and try to land this thing on the runway. This will, I believe, be the first time that I've ever successfully landed a SSTO on the runway after a full revolution of Kerbin. I am quite happy about that, actually, quite proud of my achievement. I know that other YouTubers are able to do this every day with no problem, but a lot of times it's the little victories that make me happy, and this is a little victory, but it is definitely a victory. Well, I do want to hold my tongue, though, until I actually do get to the runway, because it appears as if we are coming in a little bit low, which is fine, because this thing has a nice stable glide slope, but I do want to just turn on the RCS and just tap H a couple of times to get our velocity slightly higher as we come in for landing, just for the sake of, well, making sure that we do indeed land on the runway and that we don't land kind of right before the runway, because after all of this adventure, that would be a bit of a shame. Just a small shame there. So let's go ahead and get ourselves lined up with the runway, whereupon we can subsequently land, drained of most of our monopropellant as well as much of our oxidizer, but nonetheless successfully carrying Jebediah all the way back to the Kerbal Space Center and back home. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. You can see this lovely wheelie that we're pulling, which is nice because I haven't put down the front gear yet. There we go. Have a very nice day, individuals. What a lovely landing. Like, Favorite, subscribe, and share, please. And I will see you next time with another episode of the Kerbal Space Program. Peace!